Since their release, incarnate weapons have been dominating the meta like nobody's business, but that does not mean that there are not plenty other weapons which are extremely powerful and can get you that fantastic experience. The Trumna Prime is one such weapon. Hey guys, welcome back. As always, my name is Leyzar, and today we're going to be diving deeper into the Trumna Prime. As per usual, we're going to have an introductory level setup and an endgame setup. That said though, please bear in mind that my builds and guides usually take a more new player friendly tone, simply because I want anybody watching to understand how the weapon functions and how it should be built. Let's begin by checking out how the weapon handles without any mods equipped, and for that, just a couple of our regular free shots. The Trumna can be fired in two distinct different ways. First of all, you got hit scan, bullets that explode upon contact with an enemy. This is not something you see all that often in Warframe, especially not outside of incarnate weapons. Upon contact with a surface or an enemy, the bullets will be detonating in a 1.6 meter radius with a damage drop-off of 15%, that is 1.5. So not a whole lot of explosion range there, then again not a whole lot of fall-off either. Keep in mind there are two damage instances, first the projectile making contact with a target, and second of all, the explosion. The explosion only attributes to roughly 30% of the total projectile's damage, so shooting for the feet, not exactly the smartest of ideas. In order to access the secondary fire mode of the Trumna, you need to get 5 kills with the weapon, and yes, damage over time, kills generated by something like 100 munitions do count to discharge. You can observe the charge level right underneath your crosshairs. Right now, I'm at 4 out of 5. One more kill, you get a distinct visual cue, and now I can use the secondary fire mode of the weapon, which is a lot more devastating. That is a bouncy grenade of doom. Every single bounce will get you an explosion with a 6 meter radius and a damage drop off of 40%, 1150 damage as a base, which is absolutely huge. That is a 15% increase over the regular Trumna. Now keep in mind that the behavior of said projectile is a little bit erratic. You gotta try to aim it very steeply at the enemy's feet in order to get multiple bounces towards your enemy, something like so, more or less. But every single bounce means an additional explosion. Now let's have a quick look at the differences between the Trumna Prime and the regular Trumna. Straight off the bat, you can see one of the biggest differences between the Prime and the regular: 250 magazine capacity instead of 200. Can you say fire rate? Reload has also been improved down to 4 seconds from 5 seconds. When it comes to critical chance and critical damage, you got extra critical multiplier for the normal attack, 2.4 instead of 2.2, a bit more status chance, 34% instead of 30, slightly higher impact damage, a massive 3 total damage for the projectile making contact with the target, but nothing for the actual explosion. As for the big bada boom secondary fire, 150 extra base damage, basically 15% extra, same CC, CD, and status chance, and the damage layout basically remains the same. Now let's say you're more of a newer Tenno and you're looking for an introductory level build. You don't have all of the mods, you don't have all of the resources, something to get you going. You're looking at something like this, which is more than capable of up to level 100 gameplay. Flat damage, multi-shot, critical chance, critical damage, your ever so true 100 munitions, and making vital on the weapon, ideally with both of the 90s, but it's just gonna do 160, 190, and the all-important fire rate. You might not have Vile Acceleration, this is a corrupted mod, it gives you a big chunk of something but also takes away a bit of something. Corrupted mods in Warframe are extremely important and they are vital to your weapon builds, companion builds, Warframe builds, essentially the works. So if you haven't farmed them just yet, get to it. What? Don't know how? Got your back. Link in the cards right now for a full and detailed guide on how to farm corrupted mods. Level 100 Autokin Battle Group for the introductory level setup. Now let's see what the weapon can do. Of course, it's just gonna be completely annihilating anything and everything that stands before it, but let's say you have more tougher targets like the corrupted heavy goons, same the secondary fire for them, and you're gonna be getting yourself basically a one-shot without any issue whatsoever. For an introductory level build, I think this is more than plenty. You got all the performance you need up until Steel Path. When you hit Steel Path, you're gonna have to upgrade your build with some more potent mods. And you're gonna be looking at something like this. Starting off with the Bane mod, yes, I'm fully aware a lot of you guys hate Bane mods, I detest them as well. I still think they should give them their own slot, but let's keep in mind that the most powerful weapons in the game are the ones that are capable of accessing most, if not all, the multipliers, and the faction multiplier is very important, especially for damage over time builds. The rest of the build at this point should be pretty self-explained if you're a veteran. 100 munitions needs to be here, galvanized chamber is a must. Perhaps we should go over Galvanized Aptitude. Should we use it on the build or no? Keep in mind that most of the damage will be coming from the projectile making contact with a target, roughly 70-ish%. So you can go for Galvanized Aptitude as long as you understand that the explosion damage of the Trumna, the area of effects for secondary fire, and the AoE component of the primary fire will not be receiving the damage benefit off of Galvanized Aptitude. That is your choice to make. From my point of view, you can leave it off because you do have plenty of other mods. Serration is going to be providing our flat damage. Every build needs some flat damage. If you're not going to be getting flat damage from any sources, either the weapon build, the arcane, the warframe, your build is simply not going to be doing all that well. You do need some flat damage, which is why Serration is here. Prime cryo rounds, now you can swap this one on for the 60-60. In my opinion, it's important to get a bigger wallop worth of damage, especially for a big bada boom explosion from your secondary attack. Primary Frostbite is here. We're not going to be getting cold procs from the weapon. We're going to be getting from the little Sentinel. Speaking about Sentinel or primers, whatever primer you prefer. Obviously, we're going to be using the Diriga. I still recognize this as being one of the best, if not the best primer in the game. As for the build on the Hellstrom, which in my opinion is mandatory to farm for any serious Warframe player, I'm going to be using something like this. I'm going to be priming with cold for that primary frostbite, and not only that, it's also going to give you more critical damage plus the crowd control benefit out of this one, and of course some corrosive to remove the armor of my enemies. If your enemies don't have armor, depending on the mission, obviously that's not going to be as good. Now there's one thing that I don't have and I really need in order for this build to shine: fire rate and vital. And I can get vital from Grendel's Nourish, and I can get fire rate from something like a Wisp or a Arcane. Arcane Acceleration is an option. If you don't like Arcane Acceleration, then you can simply use something like a Wisp. For example, Arcane Rage, if you want to get even more flat damage. Keep in mind this is on a headshot, so you will have to aim for headshots. If you're going for the 180% flat damage from Arcane Rage, then you can drop Serration. If not, instead of Arcane Rage, you can use even more fire rate with Acceleration. From my point of view, even though we have a huge magazine of 250, we're kind of overdoing it with Wisp, so there you go. Instead, for now, I would go with Rage. Autokin Battle Group one more time, only this time Steel Path modifiers and level 205. We're going to be getting ourselves some Vital from Grendel's Fang and of course fire rate from Wisp's, well, motes. Now let's see what the weapon can do. Cold Start, nothing stack, look at this. Beautiful, glorious, fantastic. I'm not even gonna be using the secondary fire mode because it would be a waste. I'm just gonna spawn the whole enchilada and then kill them all. Look at this. Gone. As for the secondary fire mode, well, let's respawn the targets one more time so you can see exactly what this one can do. Get a little bit of vantage point, and there you go. The Tenno space program is alive and well with the Trumna. It's just an absolutely amazing weapon, and that secondary fire mode is hella satisfying. The problem with these targets is the fact that they're extremely weak, which is why I no longer test on battle groups. Instead, what we're going to be doing is Corrupted Heavy Goons, level 205, Eximus with the Steel Path modifiers on. Now, it's true, I'm fully aware this is not exactly the most realistic scenario where in-game you're going to see this pack of enemies, but still, these are significantly tougher targets. Not that the Trumna cares. Have a look. And if there's something a bit more tough, just use the secondary fire mode that can get you easily over 7 million damage on the right crit. Believe it or not, you can even get contact damage kill. I'm not talking about damage over time, but contact damage kill from a one-shot on normal level Steel Path. Normal level up until level 300 something of the sort. The weapon is just that insane. Now one more time for the secondary fire mode. Something like this. Bits of enemies flying all around you. What more do you want? Is it an incarnate weapon? No. It's gonna be something like, I don't know, top 5 or whatever people want? No. Those spots are still reserved for the incarnate weapons, but this is one hell of a weapon when built correctly. And it's true, I am throwing everything at it, plus the kitchen sink, because I can. And because this is how you play Warframe. You get every advantage that you can get. Why wouldn't you want to play like this? It's hella fun, super enjoyable, and very effective as well. Since we are going to be fighting the Murmur, we're going to unequip Prime Bane of the Autokin, and we're also going to be getting rid of Prime Cryo rounds. Against the Autokin, you want either radiation or electricity as contact damage, ideally both, but obviously not a whole lot of weapons will allow you to have radiation and electricity at the exact same time. Go for the 90s over the 60-60s, we're going to go Stormbringer. And finally, how about a bit more crit damage? You guys remember this one? Bladed rounds. Huh? Well, I guess Stabilizer needs to go. Now let's see what the weapon can do versus base level Steel Path Murmur. Watch. Boom. Careful though when it comes to the secondary fire of the Trumna because it will knock you back. You can deal with it, and if not, if you just want to chill, you can equip something like Prime Sure-Footed. Keep in mind, if you double tap with second ability, you will be getting that short-term invulnerability. So that's also a solution. As a Wisp, you should always be in the air regardless, because that's how you get your survivability long-term, and I mean at higher levels of play. Outside of that, get your modes, activate your free, and make sure that Vital is up from Grendel. That's it. That's the gameplay. You see a pack of enemies? Kadoosh! Do that. Because it is beautiful, because it is gorgeous, and because it is a whole lot of fun. Now, of course, I can stay here and clear Tash mobs for about a couple of hours and bore you to death, or I can show you an Acolyte test. But one more explosion. Just one more big bada boom. That is just insane, man. The only problem I have with this one, when it bounces back into and knocks you back a bit, that can get a little bit frustrating. So make sure to glide through the air. Flash, Acolyte is coming to town. So let's see if we can get it a little bit alone. It's Misery, so not the bubble guy. Come here. Come close so I may show you my big explosion. Oh, hello. This you? Brew. Never gets old. It never gets old one-shotting Acolytes. And I do believe, my friends, that's pretty much everything that you need to know. The Trumna is an amazing weapon, an amazing non-incarnate weapon that can get it done without much issue whatsoever. And that I said, it's actually, subjectively speaking, fun. So if you're bored of your Torrids and your Latrons and etc., you want to try something with a bit more explosive heft, try this absolutely amazing weapon. As always, my name has been Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Like, favorite channel, subscribe only if you enjoy the content. If you got any feedback for me, let me know in the comment section down below. Also in the comment section down below if you want to suggest any particular type of content. So please hold the melee. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Ciao.